Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 13, lucky number 13 of Ryan and Anna on MIA. And this is, in fact, the first one, I believe, of the new year.
Absolutely.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, we're starting off the new year with a bang.
Correct. And with a sponsor.
Yes, we have our first sponsor. They are a new tenant here at Hub Office Logic, and they are Alma Cafe.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
prob
mispronouncing
I'm probably
something for sure.
I'm not butchering that, but, I love their packaging.
It's from Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador.
This one is called Nocturnal. We have a cup here in this lovely glass that says main character energy, which I'm definitely vibing in 2024. And the coffee is really good.
Yeah, that is definitely Anna's energy. It's main character energy.
I love coffee, everyone, and I just drink it black. I drink coffee without sugar, without milk, without anything. And so you can really taste it. If I put stuff in coffee, usually it's because I don't like it very much. And then I have to dilute it. But this stuff is really good. I wouldn't it's fantastic. I've been sipping away at the sponsor. It's really yummy.
Yeah, we're very different in that regard. I cannot do black coffee.
Oh, I love
I
black coffee.
cannot. Like mine has been watered down and sugar and milk and all this stuff.
This stuff is good. Really nice flavor.
Yeah, cool. So yeah,
And it's
they're a new tenant at the Hub at Office Logic where we record every week. And yeah, they're gonna be actually making the coffee, like they're gonna be making it for us here at the Hub.
that's amazing.
So anyways, check it out,
Very
guys.
cool stuff.
Alma Cafe.
Alma-kaffee.com.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's going away, but I'm keeping the cup.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it has just coffee in there. So
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to start with your trends and updates for the
Sure.
year?
So around this time is when I usually do interviews and press reports on what I think is going to happen. And again, I'm seeing social media memories and things coming back from stuff I said a few years ago, and I was right once again in what I've been saying. So pat myself on the back there. But I've been right because it's not random. It's because I've identified the main driving forces of what's happening here, and those forces don't just disappear; they're going to keep going. So when I say what's happened in our residential markets is that pricing is plateauing, which is to be expected because we had tremendously fast surges in median price for condos and single family homes. So both of them finished off the year hovering close to all-time highs. Not quite at, but hovering around. If you look at the charts, they're kind of plateauing, and that is a very very healthy thing. It's stabilized. The market is so the dust is settling around new realities. And the other big trend that continues that we're seeing is that the further up you go in price, and especially price per square foot, which isolates for a new product at prime location, the more we are outperforming pre-COVID realities. The overall market, without filtering down, has dropped in transaction volume substantially and is below pre-COVID levels because the majority, right, the plurality of transactions happen at lower price points.
Okay.
Once we isolate even simplistically at a million plus, we are further than we are past pre-COVID transaction volume. And once we look at, for example, $1,000 per square foot and higher single family homes, we are 405% higher than pre-COVID, which is 5x.
Wow. Can you, for the benefit of the audience, could you sort of give the tiers of what the different of how that works?
Like how the market starts to perform differently.
No, what I mean is like so people understand how the what the market is priced at, like what the tiers of the pricing are.
Oh, when I kind of dissect it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I do a few things. One, I take a very, very simplistic supply and demand analysis, just million plus, million and below. Million is hardly luxury now, but I dissect further from there, but it's a good starting off point because even from there, you see that million plus is transacting higher than it was pre-COVID, whereas below million is not. And that's due to many factors. One of them is disappearance of inventory and higher interest rates. People at lower price points are relying upon traditional financing more likely than at higher price points. So inventory has disappeared. Below the median price point for single family condos, we're down almost 70% versus pre-COVID. It's kind of nuts.
Wow.
But the higher you go up in price again, at 2,000 a square foot for condos, we're 90% all cash, which is kind of Looney Tunes. So I take that one simple one, and then actually I dig deeper. I'm finishing up the end of the year report now, but I typically look at it from like 0 to 500, 500 to a million, 1 to 2.5, 2.5 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 plus.
Okay. I have a question. Are those people who are buying all cash, has it shifted to more US based or is it still mostly foreign investment?
Okay, so this surge of the higher price per square foot shopping happened during COVID and has sustained itself. And we know from the fact that the airport traffic has been down for international buyers, international just people during that time period,
Yeah.
that it's largely attributed to domestic buying, that surge.
Okay.
Because whenever you see we have a data set and you see a spike in data, a surge in data, you have to ask yourself what changed to account for that spike. Something changed to alter the underlying conditions. And what changed is this domestic wealth and talent migration.
Okay.
The international buyers are coming back. They're always there. There are always countries in Latin America that will have unrest and people wanting to take money out. But that sort of rapid spike we had was due to this domestic migration of wealth and talent.
Got it. Okay. Good
And
to
it's
know.
it's not going away. It's off of highs, which is normal because we had a surge, post cataclysmic event surge. It's leveling off. But we really have two markets here. It's the market segments that are benefiting from the wealth and talent migration, and the older stock, which is having problems. And then also I just did, it's gonna be in the Herald probably next week. Every year I do this analysis of every zip code in Miami-Dade and Broward and the median price point and the changes year over year for condo and single family. And the floor of the market keeps rising, meaning zip codes with median price points below even 500,000 are disappearing, which is of course not a great thing because we need price attainable housing.
Yes.
But that's a pattern that I don't see going away. Even though we have interest rate cuts priced into the market, I don't see that going away.
Yeah, and that's something we're gonna talk about later with the Live Local Act. There's a bunch of new stuff happening along those lines to at least try and help with that.
Yep, which is a great thing. South Florida is not afraid to build. We're not doing what San Francisco did.
And declaring random parking lots like historic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Supply and demand and supply. And as we've been saying before, we have the highest percentage of multifamily units under construction as a percentage of existing inventory than any city in America.
Okay.
So while those aren't single family homes, it will be very, very hard to deliver a single family at lower price points because of land cost, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we can build vertical to account for that shortfall, hopefully.
And I think, except for having a cataclysmic event, single family homes basically always go up. It basically.
Right. Unless there's like a population exodus from the region, all of a sudden you have vacancies like Detroit.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. It's a cataclysmic event.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
But other than that, you basically are on the trend line on single family homes is always going to go up.
Yep, just the land value alone as the region starts to grow because you can't build more of that land.
Yeah. So
Exactly, agree. So all of this is continuing. So I see the markets kind of stabilizing, tapering off their highs, stabilizing. I see rents, residential rents coming off, continue to come off highs, which is a great thing.
mhm.
And nothing dramatic this year, but I see that very high end continuing to hold strong because I don't see the talent and wealth migration subsiding.
Okay. That's good. Any other news or trends that you want to talk about?
No, it's just that's it.
Okay.
That's my recap. And I was saying it's the beginning of the year, so I gave a talk about this yesterday to some real estate professionals, and I was telling people that we all need to think of ourselves as being very lucky for being in South Florida, because there is this sort of surge coming here, and that it's on all of us to align with it and just decide that we're going to have a good year. It's all in the mind.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm feeling good about this year
Mhm.
in general for myself and for the region.
Mhm.
I feel, I talked about this in previous podcasts, but I think we had to clear a lot of the junk from COVID out
Yep.
in all ways, in the market and startups and real estate. I think there was so much fluff and foam, or what do they call that? The word for it. I'm missing it.
Froth.
Froth. Thank you. So I think we're getting to that point, and I think with interest rates starting to cool potentially, I think we're going to see things finally start to click off.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that the interest rates coming down even a little bit will free up some stock in the lower portions of the market, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And so I see this year as being more interesting than last year. So there's something called the Red Real Estate Awards. It's a Newark-based organization. I believe that they've had 6 years of these awards in New York. Let me not mess this up. Their Instagram is Red Awards, and I believe it's six they've had in New York, and they kind of have these amazing events that are like the Oscars of real estate. It's red carpet, it's fancy, you wear gowns, men wear tuxedos, and it recognizes, icons of the industry. They give awards to developers. I believe there's a separate event where they give awards to architects, things like this. So they've been very successful in New York and very interesting. And now the first one is happening in South Florida, coming up in January. Is it January 29th? Hold on a second. Let me find this here. January 27th, I believe it is happening. Yes, in Design District. So January 27th is the first one. It's and again, it's Red Awards on Instagram. And it's going to be a bunch of interesting local developers, or developers who develop locally, rather, getting awards. We have Edgardo Di Fortuna, we have Gil Deser, we have a whole bunch of people getting awards. And it's basically the people that are building, our skyline moving forward. And then Ryan and I have been invited. That's super exciting. So we're going to be interviewing people and bringing you all some interesting coverage from that event.
It's going to be a little bit like the Oscars of the Miami real estate.
That's right. And we'll have to think of some embarrassing questions to ask everybody. No,
Are we going to be like Joan Rivers and her daughter?
I
Like,
know but I feel like we can be,
savagely like dissecting gloves.
Think of the fun we could have everywhere.
Like, what are you wearing? Just say.
They'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
You're talking about real estate, not clothes. That's a nail thing.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, I'm
exactly.
trying to think of what.
I haven't picked an outfit yet either, but it's a very good lineup. Hold on, there's like Desert, there's Kansi, who's building Miami World Center, and Knuckle from New York is the head of ceremonies.
Okay,
So it's gonna be a great lineup. We're gonna have some very interesting people to speak to.
I love it.
We're
I
looking
can't wait.
forward to it. I have to
Good.
pick a dress, something dramatic. We'll do something.
I know. I'm not sure what I should wear, but I guess we'll figure that out
We'll
when we get
figure it
there.
out. It's gonna be so fun.
So, any news projects that you've seen over the past couple days or weeks that you want to touch on?
No, just circling back to the things that we're seeing in the news that are sort of empowered by the Live Local Act.
Yes.
Workforce housing. Remember I said the floor of the market keeps rising, and it really does. And to address that, we need new things built.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about Live Local is that it's really empowering developers to just kind of be insane. Like that is it's kind of wild because like the Live Local Act, you guys can look it up. It's kind of detailed, but basically it overrides a lot of the county and city jurisdiction
Yep.
on it.
Yeah, I think it allows a property. I'm not going to get this entirely right, but basically, if you give a subject property and you can build up to the height or density of anything within a mile of the radius of that property,
Yeah,
so they can of
regardless
the
of
zoning of
what the
that lot.
zoning and local says.
Correct. Correct.
So that is a big deal because you have places like South Beach and places that are very kind of NIMBY lands
Correct. That have
and
historic zoning.
sort of zoning and whatever, and it sort of like kept those neighborhoods from doing anything at all because
Hmm.
they're limited to 2 or 3 stories.
Right.
Also, this will be interesting for the Upper Mimo
Ah.
because that is one of the most NIMBY land places in all of Miami. That's like by Morningside Park.
Hmm.
And you have sort of like all the old hotels from like the 1960s and
Right.
50s there, and you have Morningside on the other side, on the east side, which is like very wealthy and single family homes.
Right.
But they have like fought tooth and nail to keep anything from happening on Biscayne Boulevard there. And that area of Biscayne is quite nice. It's a beautiful area, but there's not much happening because there's been no development there for 25, 30 years.
Right.
So Live Local, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Live Local works that it has to be 40% of the units have to be
Workforce housing. That's right.
workforce
Yep.
housing.
Yep.
And that's the magic number. And once they hit that, they can do whatever the hell they want.
Correct. Correct.
And then they can have it within a mile. They can have it with whatever height they want.
Yep.
So that is some great, and it's like kind of breaking the matrix of South Florida because I would say that rules and regulations here are sort of suggestions
Right.
for the most part, but we do have zoning here, and so it is restrictive. But now these developers can take these prime locations that are in restrictive areas and do whatever the hell they want
Provided
with
there's
it.
something within a mile that
I mean,
is, yeah.
you had talked about earlier, but you want to recap sort of what the Cleveland is happening?
Oh, the Clevelander, right.
Yeah,
So the Clevelander is a hotel on Ocean Drive in South Beach on like 14th Street, something like this.
yeah.
And then the owners of the Clevelander had proposed a new structure that I think was like 30 or 40 floors
Yes.
in the Deco district,
Yeah.
where, neighboring buildings are far smaller.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4 stories.
Right, exactly. But I feel like they proposed that as kind of a,
Oh, and that's the fun part is what this is allowing is the developers are allowed to do whatever they want, but they don't really want to do whatever they want. They just want to build something normal.
right.
What they're doing, this is what I'm thinking in my head, is that they are proposing these wild structures. They're 40 stories.
Like it's like a shock value initial.
Shock value so that they go to these cities and the NIMBYs and they're like, we can do this whether you like it or not. So
We'll just do 15 though, because we're nice.
yes, that is exactly it. It's like they're like we could build this tomorrow, but we're not going to because we're nice. We're only gonna do 15 stories, so you guys better like it. Like that is, I think
I
that's
agree.
yeah,
I agree. I think that was a shock value announcement from the Clevelander.
yeah. It did its
It
job.
was great. I liked it. I thought it was fantastic.
And speaking of more recent shock value, so I'm reading my thing here. This is from the next Miami, and it is the Bell Harbor Shops
Yes.
wants to build a huge amount of stuff.
including workforce housing.
600 residential units, and a luxury hotel.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys know if you're from here, you know about Bell Harbor. Bell Harbor is like the Beverly Hills Mall of
Basically,
Florida,
every fantasy store you've heard of is there.
and some of you have no idea what they are.
Exactly. They're very expensive.
Yeah, that's how I always look at it. If I don't know a store's name or like I've never heard of it, it's too expensive for me. That's that's
That's like asking for price. If you're asking for the price,
yeah, exactly. I'm not. We're not quite there yet. We will be someday.
correct. Check in this time next year. We'll
Yes.
be at Bal Harbour. Okay.
But Bell Harbor is you go there to be seen. People,
They have restaurants. People hang out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
the
very
whole thing.
picture, and it's very pretty. It's like
It's
sort
very
of
pretty.
jungly and
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't like malls, but I like that one. It doesn't annoy
It's
me.
nice. It's
nice.
it's open.
Mhm.
So, anyways, they're going to build just a huge amount of stuff, and they're going to rise 275 feet tall, which is the same height as the St. Regis across the street, which is
Correct. Substantial.
tall. And the photos are just, it's kind of hard for you to see them, but like, it's it's insane. And the fact that they could build this tomorrow without any local approval, I love.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
I really dislike NIMBY, so part of me is very
Yes.
amused by this.
Yeah.
Not that I love it, I'm not saying that I would necessarily love everything proposed, but it's just, we all have opinions. But I just love that it's taking power away from these little zealots who try to stymie any and all life in their regions. They're like, must stay the way it was when I moved here 40 years ago. Well, why?
Exactly. Yeah. Why?
I mean, you didn't stay the same.
Well, in Miami, they might have. They might have, yeah, got a full body lift and
So most of the NIMBYs I've seen have not stayed the same. Let me clarify. Just putting that out there. So why expect the city to stay the same? Are you
Yeah.
the same as you were 40 years ago? I don't think so.
absolutely not.
So
And I also I think there's so many layers to NIMBYism. Like there is obviously the character neighborhood, but a lot of it, and this is gonna sound whatever, you can cancel me for it or not. A lot of NIMBYism is based on classism and racism.
100%. It's disguised.
It's disguised, yeah.
Yes, it's their way of virtue signaling in a way that appears to be not that, but it is that. 100% it's that. It's like, yes, I agree.
And for me, it's like, and that really gets my goat. Does
Mhm.
everybody say that? It's like when people, rich people in an elite neighborhood, are basically saying we don't want those other people to have the opportunity to live in our neighborhood,
Correct. Absolutely, that's what it is.
and they frame it in a way like it's going to be a project,
Yes.
and they never say it out loud,
Right.
but that's the way it's framed.
Absolutely. And they also frame it in the context of preserving our history. That's what they say in South Beach. We're talking about crumbling, ugly buildings built in the 50s and 60s. This is not Versailles. Like, calm down. And then they tell you that, oh, people come to look at our deco district. Who are these people? I meet tons of people. I've never met anyone who's gotten on a plane and crossed an ocean to look at our deco district.
No.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, they come for Ocean Drive and the full experience.
yes, but not to walk around.
And they're
And
not
be like,
they're not like
"Oh."
looking at the deco. They're looking at the people walking.
Yes.
and all that.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but you can always tell because you said earlier about the character of the neighborhood.
Mhm.
That is literally a dog whistle for racism.
100%.
And
Yeah.
like they say it because they can say it and they can get away with it.
Correct.
But whenever someone says we're trying to preserve the character of our neighborhood, I just say you're racist.
Preserving our way of life.
Oh,
What is that? What about the people you displaced when you moved?
exactly.
Yes.
That is really, I don't
Oh,
get mad
I hate
about
that.
much stuff, but that
That
is
irks me. It irks me so
Mhm.
much. And especially in a place like Miami Beach, which is nothing but change. It's a brand new place. 100 years ago, there was barely anything there. And if you look at the demographics of the people living in Miami Beach, every 10, 20 years, there was a drastic change.
yeah,
So why? Who decided that now it's like it has to stay this way?
yeah,
Is Cuban immigrants came out of Batista. Then you had, older Jewish people who live there.
yeah,
There's a constant flows of people that live there. Why? And they have all sort of displaced, if you want to use that word, people who were there before them.
yeah,
So who says like what is our way of life? Who is we? Like I don't get it. It's changing all the time.
yeah.
It's
And
terrible.
so, and it's I I am very obviously pro development and pro developer. So obviously I might be a little biased on this, but I think you need it. I think NIMBYism sends cities and neighborhoods backwards.
Well, and also it gives platform and power to people who add nothing. people who don't create anything.
Yeah.
There's that adage that whoever is criticizing you is doing less than you are.
Okay.
And that is very, very much true. So if you look at the people who it's like many of the people who comprise boards and buildings, co-op boards and condo boards, they're people who tend to have a lot of time on their hands because they're not actually doing anything.
Got it.
And these like a lot of NIMBYs I think are like that. They're
Yes.
not actually creating. So they're
Yeah.
criticizing those who are. And that's how they like justify their existence. It gives them something to talk about.
And I love that Florida did this. Florida is kind of, most people think of it as backwards,
Mhm. Mhm.
politically
Mhm.
and otherwise,
Mhm.
socially. So the fact that they did this, and that it was actually that the current governor actually championed,
Yep.
who is a diehard Republican.
Yep.
So that is something amazing
I
to
think
me.
it's a great thing.
And to be perfectly fair, California did do something recently. They did something that was called the Builder's Remedy, I
Okay.
believe is what it's called, along the same lines. And basically what it means, if a developer wants to build something, a development, and the jurisdiction unduly blocks it,
Mhm.
they can sue and like basically win very easily to build it.
Right.
Like it's like a very clear path. Like so I saw one, there's one of my friends writes YIMBY Florida. Have you ever seen that
Mm-mm.
website? So like the next Miami.
Okay.
They do one for California too in San Francisco. And
Oh, I have seen it.
yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah. And there was a developer that proposed something a couple months ago in San Francisco's Outer Sunset District. And if you know San Francisco, it's Outer Sunset's like two-story buildings all the way to the beach. It's like 30 stories, 30 blocks of like two-story buildings. And this developer proposed like a 40-story building, like in the middle of it, like just the middle of it. And the thing is like the thing is like they could.
Right.
Because if the people tried to block them, they could use the builder's remedy to be like, we, whatever.
That's kind
So
of funny.
I know. I was great. I was great. But the renderings, I'll send you the renderings. It was hilarious. It was like two-story buildings,
And then
40 stories, like right in the middle of it.
I mean, look, when people can't be reasonable sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know.
It creates these situations.
So some other fun news stories. Tomorrow, officially, Tri-Rail rolls into Miami Central.
That's super exciting.
Yeah. So a couple caveats on that. It will still be a transfer train from the Hialeah station
Mhm.
at Tri-Rail, the Metro Rail transfer station to Miami Central. And the reason for that is they're contractually obligated to keep the same service to Miami Airport. So they can't like divert trains from the Miami Airport to Miami
Got it.
Central. So what they're doing is they bought some new trains and they're going to use it as a shuttle train for now. Eventually, it'll be a one-seat ride from anywhere points north to Miami Central.
Wow.
But for now, it's a shuttle. The difference is right now you have to transfer at that station, but you're transferring to Metro and you have to pay for it.
Got it.
So you have to pay twice.
Got it.
Now it's a one ticket ride
We have to
from
transfer.
West Palm Beach to Miami
Got it.
Central.
Got it. Got it. You know, I still get comments of people telling me that Miami doesn't have public transportation.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of. It doesn't. I always say this. It might be public transit, the rail anyway,
Mhm.
goes where you want it to go, or
Right.
it's by your house.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Right. If it doesn't,
If it doesn't, then you're screwed.
then it's a pain in the butt.
It's a pain in the butt. But what we do have, as long as it's running, it works pretty well.
Right.
I mean, I use the Metro Rail to the airport all the time for $2. I take it down to Dayland to go to the mall and visit friends. I use Metro Mover almost every single day. So if it fits into your life and it's by your house, it's
Correct.
wonderful.
Yep.
Otherwise, it can be a mess. I do agree that.
Because I have other friends who tell me the same thing that you do. They live down in downtown. They take it almost every day, and they love it.
My mom was we were
Oh,
studying.
Brian's mom is visiting.
Yes,
Yay.
hi mom. We went to the beach today because she wanted. It was the first good day in like 2 weeks. What the
I know. Sun is back, so almost.
like? Seattle needs to come claim its weather and take it back, please. Like I'm done.
There's a
with this.
polar vortex happening. You know that in the rest of the country. I was reading the news. There's some Arctic weather coming, so
Well, not our problem.
not a problem.
So, anyways, I took her to the beach. I took my car. I usually take my bike or scooter to the beach. I rarely take my car, but I have my mother. And we were on traffic on the MacArthur for 30 to 40 minutes.
Yep, same.
It's like 3 miles.
Yep.
For
That's how long it
4
took me to get
miles.
here today too. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was over 40 minutes. And I was like, geez, I had counted for like 25 or something. You know, normally it's like 12 with no traffic.
So the reason I bring it up is my mother, who lives in South Dakota and does not have any public transportation,
Right.
she was like, well, why don't they just build public transit to the beach? And and I was like,
Wouldn't that be great?
yeah,
Except going back to the NIMBYism, they don't want that. People have actually said in Miami Beach, "We don't want those people coming here."
exactly, exactly. And oh, and that they say it with like conviction, like those people, and I'm like,
And this is not me talking, making things up. This is on the record.
yes, and government officials too.
Yes, yes,
And I'm like, why don't you just say the actual word that you're thinking of?
correct. I know, openly,
Openly.
openly. They're like, "We don't want a train station or a transit hub connecting the mainland to South Beach because we don't want those people coming here."
Yeah.
I know.
And
Like,
I told my mom that sort of, and she was like, "Oh,
oh.
okay." But I also told her one of the other fun facts about that is that so the MacArthur Causeway, where they are gonna eventually build transit, is a state road. It's managed by the state, by Tallahassee, and the state can do whatever the hell they want there
Right,
within
reason.
reason. So one of the things is they are eventually, hopefully, going to expand the Metro Mover from downtown to South Beach.
That'd be great.
That's the plan as of this moment. And they tried to do it last year to get off the ground, but everyone in South of Fifth was like,
Oh, I know, that's where they're saying this. We don't want these people.
"Yeah,
And South of Fifth that they want is the 5, it's the southern tips. If you're crossing the MacArthur going east from Miami to your right-hand side is the southern tip of South Beach, referred to as South of Fifth, because Fifth Street
yes,
is the cut across. And that is a very affluent area. It's one of the most expensive buildings in South Florida are located there.
yeah." And that's where the really high income, the 1% and above,
Correct. Yeah.
or below. So those are people who were blocking it.
Yep.
Those
Like
people.
explicitly.
Yeah.
Not even hidden.
So, but going back, what I was saying is the state can build Metro Mover basically if it wants to, if South Bend wants it or not, because it's a state road. So what the county is doing, from my understanding, is they're sort of doing shenanigans with the state to like override any complaints that Miami Beach would have about it.
Oh, good.
It's kind of quiet right now because they have to figure it out, but eventually it's going to be the state just saying you're going to do this,
Good.
and
It needs to be said.
Miami Beach will not be able to
Stop it.
stop it.
That needs to be said. It's completely illogical that there is not a connection.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
they've been trying to build it
Forever.
since Reagan.
Yes.
Some other interesting news. Oh, here's one for you. Miami's unemployment rate. Miami, this is
City.
the
Yep.
area.
Okay.
Yes, area. It's 1.4%.
Yep. We're doing super good in that regard.
Crazy.
I know. I know.
38 of 38, Miami was the lowest.
Yep. How amazing is that?
Yep.
That's that economic growth. That's real.
Yeah.
That's not just that extreme high end wealth. That's a reflection of actual jobs for actual people.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I always love that Miami's like area is Miami Beach, Kendall. That's like that's the MSA.
Who made that up? Like, what is that?
It's like Kendall's just like they're like, hi. Like Miami Beach and Kendall, like what the hell?
We also have data of license plate changes.
Oh yeah.
License plate
That
changes are still up high.
that was I don't know where that is. That was here somewhere. But
Yeah, yeah. It's still it was like 30 or whatever percent above
yeah,
pre-COVID.
it was 30% above
Yep.
year over year.
Yep, yep. And a lot of that is New York, everyone.
Oh, here it is. It is it is 15%
Okay.
above 2022.
Okay. And then pre-COVID,
Pre-COVID in
2019.
yeah, it's 21% above last year. I don't know. Look at these things. Oh, interesting. Migration from New York is up
Yep.
41%
Look at
in
that.
2023 over 2019. California is 56% above 2019, and New Jersey is 29%.
And remember, everyone, the top 1% taxpayers in these high tax jurisdictions account for over 45% of their tax revenue. In California recently was like, wow, we have an unexpected budget shortfall of $68 billion, whatever it was. And now some legislatures there are floating a wealth tax.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? They're going to keep pouring gasoline on the Exodus fires. This is why I think this flow is not going to stop, because they're not appreciating the fact that the departure of taxpayers is going to accelerate their budget shortfalls. They're going to panic, and they're going to, populist politicians will propose more and more wealth taxes, and we're going to keep getting the actual productive citizens. Yeah.
Part of all part of our long mind.
It's like a slow moving car accident, everyone. They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Eh.
I keep meeting people every week that just moved here or recently
Yeah,
moved here.
exactly.
And even me, one of Miami's biggest boosters, I thought it would slow down. I did. Even though I'm always optimistic about it. I mean, I thought it would slow down. But every time I keep meeting people who are just moving here or moved here recently, I'm just like, oh wow.
Uh,
Like I didn't think the flow would continue this much.
yep. The conditions are going to continue to worsen in our feeder jurisdictions because they're losing taxpayers
Yeah.
and their policies are kind of not constructive to attracting productive people. So it's just going to keep getting worse and
Yeah.
worse.
It's you know,
Just look at the migrant situation in New York now.
yeah.
That's a mess. They closed a school to house migrants. Isn't that great?
Well,
Like, what is that?
yeah, I mean, it goes back to like, I think it's not it's not that it's not that we're against immigration or whatever. It's more for me, it's more pointing out the point. We've said this before that it was never a problem until the people ended up in New York.
It was. It just wasn't acknowledged.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I got you. Of
Yeah.
course. Of
So
course.
it
Now
wasn't
they're crying, but
it wasn't a problem when it was in New York.
so it wasn't in their backyard.
Yes.
Exactly
And
right.
then
Yeah.
you put that same exact flow in New York, and then it's a national emergency.
Exactly right.
That is the problem. It's not the people, it's the reaction to it and the non-reaction to it other
Well, this
places.
harkens back to the hypocrisy of NIMBYism. I feel it's very much the same thing because it's very lucky to extol all these magnanimous virtues when it's not in your backyard.
It's always how it is.
And that's exactly what happened there. And now they're like, oh my God, this is a national disaster. And then people who live along the border are like, we've been saying that, but nobody cared. I know. It's amazing.
My mother is sending me sunset pictures.
Oh, how pretty. That's so nice.
I have a rooftop and she's very much enjoying it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
She's living her best life for sure.
Yeah, yes, you should.
Also, some other interesting news. Pier 5 opened yesterday at Bayside.
Oh, wow.
So Pier 5 is by the same people as the wharf.
Okay.
Same.
The wharf in New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you guys who are here know that Bayside has basically been the tourist dumpster for the past 20 years. Like it's kind of funny because Bayside sits in a very interesting location. It's a super prime location in the middle of everything, beautiful views, but it's really just been sort of meh for 20 years.
Uh-huh.
Been like, tchotchke stores and bars that sell $20 margaritas.
Yeah.
It's not a mall you go to unless you're a tourist,
Right.
but it's a super prime location.
It is.
And so I'm excited about this because the wharf is very successful. It was very successful here in Miami. And they do a really good job with theming and quality. So I think you're going to get some more locals into Bayside because of it.
Agree.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. Also, speaking of the wharf itself, the old land is now very much in construction for them building up the hotels and event space there. It's gonna be a dream hotel
Okay.
and then a new permanent wharf.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is a great location.
Yep. And then also, this is not from the next Miami, but Live Local again. Live
The
Local.
fun is just
There's a new project that was proposed either today or yesterday, and it's by Clara Homes.
Uh-huh.
I think it's a weird name for developer, but okay.
Eh.
Anyways, do you know where 545 Wynwood is? The new office
Uh-huh.
tower. Behind that, there's like a couple like warehousey old things. They're going to put a 30 or 40 story apartment building there with 40% of workforce housing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Eh,
Right. It's literally right. It's the last row before you get to 95.
that's great.
Yeah. So I am excited about that. Other news things, they're finally starting demolition at 1428 Brickell.
Oh, finally.
Finally. It's that I'm excited. That's a really beautiful project. And the back of that project is gonna be the first photovoltaic powered building. The back of it is solar panels.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really cool. And the streetscaping on that looks really fantastic. I'm looking forward to that project. Also in Brickell, they finally got construction for the gateway, which is next to Solitaire, and like right by the underline there.
Uh-huh.
That's gonna be a 61-story tower. And keeping with our theme of sort of live locally style things, that one is a benefit of the rapid transit zoning.
Yes.
So there's two things that work here. There's live local, which is
Right.
the state,
Right.
and there's rapid transit zoning.
Which is the city.
Correct. And rapid transit zoning overrides the city's zoning.
Yes.
So if you are buying the Metro Mover or the Metro Rail or Tri-Rail or Brightline, you basically get carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want.
It reduces your parking requirement potentially to 0.
Yes.
It allows for smaller unit sizes too.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of stuff that goes. Actually, I contributed to the report for this.
Oh,
Like I forgot about this. Wow, it was like ages ago, 4 years ago. there's a Miami 21 zoning update, and I had created an overlay map of this that I had contributed, went to the mayor's office and everything.
Okay, that's
I
awesome.
completely forgot about it until now. I hadn't thought about it for years. How funny.
Yeah, so
But yeah, correct. Yeah.
ra- the rapid transit is pretty cool because Miami, unfortunately, still to this day, has parking minimums,
Yes.
which is really stupid.
Yes.
Basically, it means even if the Metro Mover is like directly next to you, you have to build one or
Some
whatever,
percentage based on you.
some percentage, and it just is dumb because if you build a unit that close to Metro Mover, you're going to build people who take transit.
And it increases the cost of the units per, unit, increase the overall cost of a unit, which again, we need more affordable units. So taking away parking allows for the creation of cheaper units.
But yeah, I mean, so it's we're working on we're working on the affordability and the building on multiple fronts.
I agree.
And nothing happens overnight.
Nope. This is early days for all
Yeah,
of this.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Nope.
And so there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes I think is going to come to fruit over the next 3 to 4 years.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of the dust settling. I think it's really 3, 4, 5 years. All of this is going to take shape.
Yeah. I was speaking of my mother, I was explaining to her, I was showing her all the lots around my building in this area that were either in progress or proposed. And she was like, wow, like that's intense. And I think sometimes we forget about it because we live here.
We've normalized it.
We've normalized and we see these lots that are in construction or whatever, and we just sort of forget it. But then, when someone comes from South Dakota or whatever, they're like, it really is intense, but in a good way.
Correct. It's a very positive vibe. The city's being built. It's one of those things where our timing was good that so much of our city was unbuilt before COVID.
Yeah.
And so now we can build in accordance to this shift in the world.
Yeah.
We have the blank slate largely.
Yeah. And that's, that's the thing I've been saying for 7 years now is that Miami is so uniquely positioned because we have blank space in the urban core.
Exactly.
And that just doesn't happen.
We already had an international airport, all those things. It's not like having space in the urban core, but you're not connected to anything. You're not on the map. We're already on the map. We had this great airport, all these things. And we had all this empty space in the urban core.
Yeah.
It's kind of perfect.
I think the only other one that would be similar would probably be something like Atlanta, maybe. But, it's not like Miami is not like New York. They say it all the time, it's like New York, but it's really not. It's
Not at all.
Like New York has every physical inch covered.
Yes. And then some.
There's no blank lots.
Maxed out.
Yeah, or if there is a blank lot, it's getting built tomorrow.
Yes.
We have actual blank lots that are just dirt.
In the prime
Urban core.
Yes.
And that just is unheard of.
Correct. It is early days in the city still.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
Yeah. So lots of good stuff happening. I am excited. We're going to have a lot to do this next week. We're going to have these awards.
Yes. We have our new thing coming out. We haven't
yes.
announced yet, which is coming.
Do you want to give some?
I think we'll announce it when it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We'll just keep the people waiting.
Yes.
But it's good.
Anna's like shushing me over here. So it's gonna be a good year. I'm excited. And there's just so much. This podcast would be 2 hours long a week if we went over everything that actually happened. And I forget. There's so much stuff happens here that I forget. Like I forget what's even happening.
So my memory gets jarred. Like I forgot I contributed to that report 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, wait a second, I'm talking about this thing. If you find the Miami 21 report, there's a map I made with my name there, and I forgot about it. So much happens here.
And there are so many projects: the Waldorf Astoria, the Oakland Tower, One Bayfront Plaza, Swires, One Brickell City Center, their Mandarin Oriental replacement, the Dolce and Gabbana building in Brickell.
Tons.
Aston Martin is opening soon. The Miami Hyatt is getting replaced with 3 super talls. And a new convention space. The Miami River City District is going to have 4 towers. The first one's almost done. And I break the microphone. So there's just so much, and I think our project next week is going to be very interesting in that.
Tying together many pieces.
Also, I want to hear from you guys. I'm thinking about doing something. I have the Ray-Ban glasses by Meta. And I think it just heard me somewhere. So I am thinking of doing like neighborhood tours with those. Because they can live stream. And so I can walk around these neighborhoods or on my scooter and show people what's happening
Super cool.
in the live stream. So tell me if you guys think that's a good idea. I will be interested to hear about that. But yeah, this will be a good week. My mother's here for for another week or two.
Oh,
So
fun.
wish me luck. I love you.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. If you ever have any tea or any comments, please feel free to send them in. And we look forward to hearing about you. And also, as always, please come and check out this podcast from Office Logic. It's pretty cool. And if you make content, it's a really good spot to come in and make that content. So we will talk to you guys soon.
Cha-cha.
Bye, guys.